Hey, welcome to another episode of the Pixel Related Podcast. It is, I have no idea what episode this is because I lost track after all the Game of the Year episodes.
56.
56? Is that Gus? You look
Yes,
it up
sir.
for me? All right, thank you, Gus. You got my back, and I appreciate
First episode
that.
of 2018.
Did you say hate teen? It sounded like you said hate teen.
2018.
Hate
I'm
teen.
making it 2018.
Because you hate 2018.
Hating.
Yeah, so it's Pixel Related Podcast. It's our first episode of the new year, unless you count the 4 that we put out in the first week of January, but we recorded those back in, ye old 2017, so that doesn't quite count. But we're here, we're new, we're past Game of the Year, and so as we do, or that's what we like to do, I think we didn't do this podcast until like March of last year. We're going to. I literally think it's about when we did it.
Yakuza 0 wasn't on our anticipated shit. It was Kiwami, so yeah, probably.
Yeah, because we had already played Yakuza 0. Yeah, so we're going to go look ahead at 2018, the games that we know are coming out, the games that sounds like they're going to come out, and honestly probably some games that there's no way they're actually going to come out this year, but could potentially, like Death Stranding could. No, Death Stranding's not coming out this year. Let's be real. But before we get into all that, it'll hit this. I mean, is 2020 part of the decade, or is that next decade?
I think technically that's the next decade.
Okay, then maybe not this decade then. But before we get to all that, let's introduce ourselves. My name's Kyle. I am your host, as always. Joining me with me is Adam.
Hey guys, what'd you guys do over your break? Did you go to a forest in Japan and make some really bad fucking dumbass decisions? You white piece of shit.
he's not talking to me.
I don't think he was. No, when he said white piece of shit, I think that ruled you out, actually.
I'm a brown piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. God, no, let's not get into that. That is a whole gosh. And then also with us this week is Gus.
How's it going, people?
So we have a massive list here of games. Let's see. Let me scroll down to the bottom. About 60 games, it looks like.
Yeah, 60
or so.
Yeah.
And so I mean, as kind of goes with these, we have a decent bit of stuff that we have dates on for the first half of the year or so. And then other ones that basically, like, maybe they're supposed to be like Q2 or Q1 or whatever, but nothing really solid has come out yet. So let's kind of just roll down the line. We'll go through this chronologically. Do you guys want to, or do you want to just pick and choose games? How do you want to go through this list?
Let's just go through it. Let's just go through it, and we'll see where we end up with it.
Yeah, we're not gonna necessarily go into in depth about all of these games because there's definitely some games on here that I don't care about. Let's start it right off with Kirby Battle Royale, which is like,
oh, you go suck a dick in hell is what you do. Kirby is a magical boy. No bad games.
And I will check out the Switch Kirby game probably, but the 3DS top-down, whatever this thing is, like, probably not.
Magical special sweetheart boy that he is.
Yeah, probably.
Lovely boy, Kirby.
Probably not going to be checking out Kirby Battle Royale. Is that, like, I'm just trying to look at this list. Is that the only 3DS thing that's on this list?
I ended on a high note.
Probably.
That maybe it will. Maybe it will. That's January 19th. That's like a week from now. We'll all of us will be playing the hotness that is
goddamn right we'll be
Battle Royale. After that, on the 23rd, we have the Inpatient, which of course is
I don't think that's going to be the 23rd.
No,
it's going to be the 23rd. Well, they've pushed that thing back. Like I don't know that they have set a firm release date with it. So
I thought that's what when I was doing this list and putting dates and stuff on it. That's what I was seeing last night. But
so they were like advertising it as being October in the PlayStation Store, but then they just kind of silently changed that date. So I feel like I've also heard nothing about that game besides the fact that it's an Until Dawn prequel.
Right, and it's a VR exclusive, right?
Yeah, it's a
That's kind of lame.
PlayStation VR exclusive.
Yeah, sorry, PlayStation
thingy.
VR is what I meant. Let's see. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the PlayStation Store still says January 23rd.
They are saying that.
Yeah, so of course that's my Supermassive, who made Until Dawn, which all of us are big fans of. But it is on PlayStation VR, which means I will not play it because unless someone somehow I magically end up with the PlayStation VR, play it. But the real stuff starts on January 26th. Of course, I'm referring to Dragon Ball Fighter Z and Monster Hunter World. 2 games that Gus is shaking his head up because he's not going to play.
That's great.
But Adam
He's
is
gonna be
nodding his
investing
head.
hundreds of fucking hours. Yeah, that's what you're gonna be doing. Let's get on Monster Hunter. Let's go kill some dragons.
You know what? I will be there. I will. Let's do
Hell
this.
yeah.
Don't really know anything about Monster Hunter.
I have played some God Eater. That is the extent of my knowledge of Monster Hunter.
I've watched a video. I missed the beta because they did these weird timed multiplayer betas, and I missed both of them. Supposedly, there's rumor that there might be another one before the game releases.
There is another one coming out I want to say it's the 18th, which I think is. Oh man, you can make me choose between Kirby Battle Royale and this. I'm going Kirby.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Like the beta is like a 3 monster thing. They set you up on 3 hunts.
Sounds cool.
The first 2 were pretty straightforward. The third one was a motherfucker. So, like, I definitely see like where that game becomes this online thing of gathering up your group, going out, hunting the monster. Like it's really cool.
Yeah. I looked. Yeah, never played anything like that before. Seen some videos of the last couple betas. I will hopefully get a chance to check out the next one. Though I don't know. But I'm definitely going to check that out because it seems cool. Dragon Ball Fighter Z, on the other hand, looks absolutely insane.
It's fucking good.
Like it looks.
Oh my God.
It looks gorgeous, and it might actually deliver on what a lot of games have tried to do of like making that like crazy flying in the air, doing insane, super powerful moves. Like might actually work. Everything I've heard about it sounds like it might actually pull that off. And I'm not a Dragon Ball guy.
Budokai games. The Budokai games had like tried that stuff, but I think that was in more of a 3D space. I don't know. I just never got into the Budokai games, so like I'm a pretty big fan of like kind of everything up through the Cell saga of Dragon Ball. So I'm hyped for this shit. Like it looks really good. And like I was thinking about it last night. Like you remember how we all like pissed our pants when it was like, "Oh my God, it's a South Park game that looks exactly like South Park." Like yeah, that's fucking nothing. Like that's nothing compared to what they're doing here. It's so crazy. It looks spot on.
It looks really good. It looks really good. Then in February, on the 6th, we have the full like remaster of Shadow Colossus. I can't say I've heard a ton about if they're doing anything mechanically to the game other than just the giant visual upgrade, and it's a huge visual upgrade from the looks of it.
Yeah. I think they are just doing visual stuff. Because there's like some Lost Colossi stuff that everybody has kind of known about for a while. It doesn't look like they're restoring any of that stuff, which I think would be really cool.
Yeah.
If they did something like that, but yeah. I mean, it just looks like it's a really big visual upgrade to it, and it looks incredible. So.
Yeah. As opposed to we had on the PS3, we had the HD remaster, which is just an upscaling of Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, where this one is a full-on remaster. I never finished Shadow of Colossus, so maybe this will be my opportunity to actually go finish that game rather than just beat the first 5 Colossi or whatever.
Oh wow, yeah, that's not very far. That game.
I thought there's
game
12?
gets intense.
I don't know how many there are, but either way, yeah, that's like about 16? How many. That's about how many. It was like 5 or so. Right. I ended on one that was like a flying dragon thing. Is the one that the last one I beat. I remember it had like I was in water I don't know. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
February.
Was it like 10 years ago?
Well, no, that was. I mean, to be fair, that was playing the HD remaster, so I mean, it wasn't super long ago, but
okay.
Was like still like 5 or 6 years ago. Whenever that remaster came out. Then February on the 16th, we have something that I am super excited about, which is Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 1 coming out on Switch. Is Bayonetta 3, is that supposed to be a 2018 game?
They haven't said.
Okay.
Like, they just popped up the Bayo 3 logo, and they showed her getting the shit kicked out of her, and that was about it. So I don't know if it's a 2018 game. I wouldn't be super surprised if it is a 2018 game, just because, like, I think that is a good filler for the later half of the year.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being like an October, November, December Switch release for sure. Like maybe filling in like the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 hole from this last year. I really like the first Bayonetta, and I honestly, the whole it being on the Wii U thing and whatnot, by the time I got the Wii U, I just never got around to going back and checking out Bayonetta 2, because I got the Wii U after Bayonetta 2 had been out for a while. So I really want to check. I probably will play Bayonetta 1 again, although I know it came to PC as well not that long ago. But Bayonetta 2 never came? Yeah. No, because Bayonetta 2 was published by Nintendo, so that's not coming to Steam. Ever.
It looks really good on the PC though. Like, I mean, it's got full 60 frames. Like, I'm sure it'll be fine with the Switch release, but it just looks really good in 4K.
Yeah, no, imagine. You got Metal Gear Survive coming out February 20th. I don't even know. I don't even know what that is.
Did you watch anybody watch that trailer they put out this week for it?
Nah.
I haven't.
It's a 5-minute single player trailer.
Okay.
Boy, that thing looks like dog shit. Looks really good.
Is this like officially like the last game coming from Konami?
I mean, no, because if they have the chance to make a quick dollar, they will. I just don't know how the fuck that happens.
Yeah.
Like, this thing just looks...
I don't know.
It looks
bad.
I mean, it looks nothing... Like, I guess the reason it has the name Metal Gear on it is just because they have the ability to have the name Metal Gear, like...
Yeah. They need to brand it. Get some unsuspecting purchases. Because they see Metal Gear at the store, and they're like, oh, Metal Gear, it's gotta be good.
It's so wild, because it's like this offshoot side story of 5... where, like, somehow you get teleported to a different dimension.
Yep. Where there's
because there are those, like, teleporting Fultons that you get, like, really late game, and, like, somehow you end up in some alternate dimension.
Wait. I just take a step back there. There's teleporting Fultons in MGS5? I don't think I ever got those.
It's like a very high level thing where you you throw the Fulton thing onto them, and then they just get zipped through a teleporter, so they can't get shot down in air.
Okay.
It's goofy. Like, it's goofy in that game, but here it's the fucking core premise of the game.
The premise of the game is you get hooked into... Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's...
And it's like characters that you haven't seen before, and it's like Fortnite build your fortress. Like, it's basically fucking Fortnite, but
wait, so you're telling me that in 6 months we're going to be talking about Metal Gear Survive Battlegrounds? There will
be a Battle Royale.
Okay, I'm on board. I'm back on board.
I called that shit weeks ago. I was like, man, the second that fucker comes out, Battle Royale mode is going to be worked on.
Because, as everyone knows, the thing that people like most about Metal Gear is the combat. You know, it's the shooting is really what...
I mean, people love the online multiplayer of Metal Gear.
Yeah, I mean, it was good.
Unequivocally, you know, it's...
Ugh.
We should take bets on the review scores for these games. I'm gonna say this one's gonna average out at like a 5 out of 10.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, the thing with games and review scores is that very few sites out there like really like lay into games. Like what did I see the other day? I saw something on Reddit that was like some like random like babysitting mama game that IGN gave like a 7.6, and then it was like I forget what the other game they were comparing it to, but it was like a top tier like AAA game that got like a 7.4, and they were like, I feel like there's a discrepancy here between like what we're reviewing. It was like a Street Fighter game or something like that, and it was just like, man, I don't know. Hey, maybe that.
In that case, though, they're actually probably right. Is the thing?
Maybe, I don't know. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what the game they were comparing to, but I thought it was pretty hilarious. But yeah, that takes us into March 16th. I guess just announced today we have Kirby Star Allies. This is a proper Kirby game. None of this Battle Royale 3DS bullshit.
That's it. They're all good Kirbys, Kyle.
I don't. Anyways, so yeah,
a painter.
That game. I mean that's the one that I will probably check out. Like I'm not gonna really get a bust out my 3DS for a Kirby game.
Painter ability. You get a painter ability. He can be a painter. It's wonderful. It's a goddamn joy.
No more yarn and whatever the hell Kirby's always made of now.
They only did one yarn game, and that one was actually pretty good. But although it was super,
they've all been good. It
was super easy. But yeah, I mean, look at Nintendo's been knocking it out of the park with all of their mainline games. So hopefully this continues the trend. Then we have, guys, we talked about October 27th of last year being the day that all of the good games come out. This year, that day is March 20th because we have Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered, Attack on Titan 2, maybe not the same as the October 27th, but you have a lot of you have Sea of Thieves and you have Yakuza 6, the Song of Life. This was the first time I had heard that the tagline for that or subtitle or whatever you want to call it.
Yakuza 6, damn.
So let's start at the top there. Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered. We were actually joking about this before the show started. I don't know how much legs that game still has. Like I was talking about how it's been on my Steam wishlist for a while, and then I think it dropped to as cheap as like $5.99 or something like that over the holidays, and I still didn't pick it up. So I don't know. It seemed like one of those games that they could probably just make it backwards compatible, but then they couldn't resell it to you again. So
this is the one that came out for like PS3, right?
It came out the same year that Unity came out, and it was
this one. Was
this
one was the better game,
and it was the better,
new one,
because Unity was the one after Black Flag, and this basically is Black Flag 2, for better or worse. I'm sure it's good, and I'm behind on Assassin's Creed's anyways. I still didn't play Syndicate, and I haven't played Origins. And I guess I haven't played Rogue, so I'm a bit behind in the times on those, so maybe I will check that out, but I got more important Assassin's Creed to go back and play than that one. Attack on Titan 2, I don't have any interest in Attack on Titan.
It's fine.
It's fine. I don't...
Was that by the guy...
the first game any good?
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. Okay.
Fine. It's not... It's by the guys. It's by the guys who make those. What the hell are those games called? The Dynasty Warrior series.
Oh,
and it's fine. It's fine.
So it's Dynasty Warriors, but with Attack on Titan characters.
With giants, naked giants. Yeah.
Not really Dynasty Warriors though, because Dynasty Warriors you have a lot of enemy management with smaller enemies, but here it's the giants, and so the Titans you have to go and you have to attack specific body parts of them, you got to try to get their necks in order to do the most damage in order to kill them. It's fine.
Adam's a big fan.
I've watched most of the. I've watched a solid most of the first season of Attack on Titan. It's fine. It's fine.
Let's see
very
here.
colonialist, which is it's a bit disturbing in that some of its colonialism themes. Like it's a bit fucked up in those regards. Yes.
I get put off by the giant naked men with Ken doll sexual features. It's really off-putting to me.
Oh, that's why I started watching it.
Because of that was the draw.
Yeah, no penis down there.
Nope, just smooth as Ken doll. Also on the 20th, they'll have Sea of Thieves, supposedly. Sea of Thieves is definitely one of those games that, like, if I'm going to have any interest in that, I'm going to need to have some type of beta or something like that I get in there and get my hands on to see what that is. Because I'm still not entirely sure what that is.
I mean, like, they've done, I think, an okay job of pointing out what those missions look like, but I don't know that they've done a great job of pointing out, like, what your overarching goal is.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
that, you know?
Yeah, it's like, oh, like, is it just like a thing you kind of jump in with some friends and you go do these, like, randomized, or maybe not randomized, maybe curated missions and get your loot and stuff like that? Or is it like a full-on story that friends can come along and do? Or, I mean, is it Destiny with pirates? Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
If it's Destiny with pirates, hey, that could be pretty cool. And then you have Yakuza 6, which obviously, per all of our Game of the Year discussions that we just had, two of the people on this podcast are very excited for Yakuza 6. Because Gus doesn't know better.
So fucking pumped for it.
What happened to 5? Was that Kiwami, or I totally missed?
Okay, so Yakuza is a really fucking weird series. Okay, so Yakuza 1 came out on the PS2. It was Sega's big push to make their Grand Theft Auto. They had, like, fucking Michael Madsen doing the voices, like Eliza Dushku, I think, was there. And it failed. Like, it failed pretty hard in America. It had, like, this very niche audience, but, like, it failed. And so then Yakuza 2 came out, and they didn't put, like, any money behind it. And then sort of the same thing with 3, and then 4 came out, and then I want to say that's when Dead Souls came out, which is the zombie game that they have. And then 5 came out in the West, and then last year, or like a year and a half ago, they're like, all right, we're going to fucking push this thing to the moon. So you're getting Yakuza 0, which is a prequel to the entire series, and Kiwami, which is a remake of 1. Okay. You're getting those in the same year, and then, like, within a couple months of that, you're also getting 6. Okay. So they've been kind of behind in the States for a while. Like, this is the first time that they are getting within some relative parity of the...
So it's releasing, like, pretty close to when it's releasing in Japan?
So it's been out for probably about a year, but that's actually about as close as they've been. Like, that's about. But the thing is that they are so heavily steeped in Japanese culture that you have to spend presumably hundreds of hours to translate stuff. There is a lot of shit that doesn't fucking, like, there was this moment. So I went into the Japanese PlayStation store and I downloaded the demo for 6, and I was like, okay, like, let's go see what's up here. And, like, there was, like, it's Kamurocho, but, like, it's all fucking Japanese. It's all Japanese restaurants, Japanese foods, Japanese dialogue. Like, there was one single instance where there was a place called Gyakaku, which I've been to one in Chicago. And I was like, oh my God, I've actually been here. This is the coolest shit ever. But, like, that's kind of it, because that's kind of more of an American chain. It's very heavy in Japanese stuff. And that's also a big reason that it doesn't sell over here, except for to this niche audience. So it seems like them pushing as hard as they did on 0, like, really helped them out. Like, I've seen multiple people over the course of, like, looking at Game of the Year stuff, like, talk about, like, 0 is definitely in that discussion of, like, what was Game of the Year last year. It's helped them, and I think that they might try to get some closer parity in the US. Like, maybe they make it within 6 months or 9 months, but Like, there's work that has to go into those games in order to get them over here.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say there's been talk about remastering Yakuza 2 as well, and then maybe
Kiwami 2 is actually getting remastered.
Oh, is okay. I feel like I'd heard something about that.
Yeah, they put out a trailer for it. It was like alongside the trailer for Yakuza Team doing a fucking Fist of the North Star game, which is actually the smartest fucking business decision that Sega has made, I think, ever, because that just very much encapsulates the kind of game that they make. A very, like, hey, I'm gonna kill you by punching the shit out of you game. Like, yeah, the Kiwami 2 got announced. Like, it also has, like, they did the thing that we wanted, Kyle, and they added in an entire Majima sub-story to this Kiwami 2. So you're going to be spending time with Majima in this one.
Good.
And they're building it off of the Yakuza 6 engine, which is a fucking gorgeous engine.
Right,
so,
which I would say something, because I think Yakuza 0, like, maybe a little rough around the edges, but I think looks pretty good.
Looks really good. Yeah, for sure.
So we're super excited for Yakuza 6. Then we have, on the 23rd of March, we have Ni no Kuni 2, which is a game, like, that was always one of those games that, like, I thought that I should, like, check out and play, but never actually got around to playing the original Ni no Kuni.
Yeah.
And part of it was because, like, in the people that, like, really get into those, like, random other RPGs out there, even they were kind of middling on it, and I'm like, well, if they're middling on it, it's probably not for me then. Although it was kind of, like,
it's got that. I mean, the thing that I think that pushed that was the Miyazaki artwork, right? Like,
yeah, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. I feel very similar about that to you. Like, I think I have a digital version of that game. Like, it was on sale for $5, and I don't think that I've played it.
I mean, I remember playing the demo back in the day and thinking it was kind of cool. That same day, March 23rd, you have A Way Out, which of course is by the super passionate guy who doesn't like the Oscars. I forget
Fuck the Oscars.
I forget the guy's name, but it's the same.
The brothers
Tommy
guy?
Wiseau.
Yeah, same guy who made Tommy Wiseau. That's funny. The same guy. You know, total aside, I saw The Disaster Artist a couple days ago, and that movie is amazing. I loved that movie.
You saw it before the cutoff time, before it's acceptable to be into James Franco. That's
I literally think it was like later that day an article came out, and I was like, oh,
Yep.
okay. Well,
yeah, yep.
Anyways, A Way Out, though, yeah. So the same, like you said, Gus, the same. Some of the same people were the same guy that brought Two Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. What was that?
Yeah.
Tale of Two
Yeah,
Sons.
sounds right.
Something like that.
Thinking Beyond Two Souls. Fuck.
Anyways, that game was very cool. It brought out the idea of, like, controlling two characters with one controller and doing really interesting things. This is doing a similar type of thing, except it's about co-op action, so it is actually with another person. But the way that whether you're playing locally or whether you're playing online, it is split screen with the, like, what's highlighted and what's low lighted, like, being shifting around with, like, comic book panels and stuff like that. It looks super cool. It's definitely something that I will check out, because I am super interested in that, because I really like Brothers. Then at the end of March, we have Far Cry 5, which is, of course, the American Far Cry game set in Montana.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Montana?
sounds right.
That I'm definitely interested. I mean, I really liked. I mean, I think we all kind of, you fell into Far Cry either. Like, Far Cry 2 was kind of divisive, and then you have Far Cry 3, which I think pretty much everyone agreed was a pretty fantastic game. And then they kind of just redid the formula 2 more times with Far Cry 4 and Far Cry Primal. Which
it looks like that's what they're doing again.
Yeah.
Here, which is the really disappointing.
I mean, they're definitely branching out a little bit more with some stuff about just, like, mechanically how the game works. Sounds like. But yeah, I don't know. You know, I guess we'll have to wait and see what that actually looks like. Stuff I've seen doesn't seem like it's not like it's too different.
I mean, the most different one is the best one. I mean, Far Cry 2 is the best one that they have made. So it's kind of sad. I like 3. I like 3 a lot, but I feel like the stuff they were trying to do with 2 was some of the most insane shit that we had seen.
If they had just continued down that path and refined it, instead they went back to more straightforward, simplify, really good in Far Cry 3. The thing that I'm not feeling with Far Cry 5 is that like Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4 were all based around this like one guy and who was kind of insane but still really charismatic and really interesting. And I haven't really gotten that from Far Cry 5. Like, I can't feel like I've seen a ton about that, like, main pastor cult guy, whatever, like you did with Pagan Min and Vaz from Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4.
Yeah. I think, like the thing that happened with 4 was that everybody was really pissed that Vaz died at the end of the first act of that game.
Yeah, well, that's 3. That's 3, but yeah.
Or 3, yeah.
Yeah,
but, I think that's why, that's why Pagan Min was like, he's the guy who's there, and it's like, okay, that's fine, it's fine, whatever, but I don't feel like that's enough at this point to drive that game. I think that 3 had a really big boost because that dude was genuinely okay, he's really fucking going into this. They got fucking video of this dude, actual video of him burying people up to heads in sand.
Yep. That's right. They did do those those YouTube videos of him in the full costume and all that stuff. I forgot about that stuff. And I'm not saying necessarily that's what they need to drive the game, but I feel like other than the setting of that game, I haven't really gotten a feeling for the tone that they're going, because one video was super serious with the guy smashing a guy's head against the bell of the church tower, and then the next one was look at all this crazy wild shit, look at how crazy this is, he's flying a helicopter and stuff is blown up. And
the E3 thing was because that was the thing going into the reveal was that oh, it's this American thing, playing off of this current political climate that could be really interesting.
Yeah.
That could be something that's kind of risky to do, but at the same time, the best art takes risks. And I just didn't watching that trailer at E3. I felt like they're nope, don't want to offend anybody, don't want to piss them off, so let's blow stuff up again, yeehaw! And that was just, it was disappointing.
Yeah, and
I hope they turn into that stuff.
Yeah, and if they don't go down that route, that is disappointing, because we just got done talking about over the last couple weeks about Wolfenstein 2 and how far they take it, and they take it at a very over the top kind of crazy view of it, but they do go in on stuff about white America and Nazis and KKK and things like that, and they're dealing with that stuff and don't shy away from it at all.
Yeah.
And so Far Cry 5 kind of ends up not having any opinion on anything like that. That's gonna be disappointing, for sure.
The centrist game.
Wasn't there a Far Cry offshoot 80s laser?
Oh yeah, Blood Dragon.
Yeah.
Blood Dragon was really good too. That was really good. As kind of
might be the best Far Cry.
A $15 standalone thing. That was pretty great.
I mean, Dragon definitely took it really hard with its style thing, which was it was at that time I don't even think Hotline had been out at that point. It was really hard in on that 80s bright neon shit.
Yeah,
that was really good. That was it was a $15 downloadable thing, and it was solid.
Yeah.
The thing about 2 is that they not only had a really compelling villain who within the first hour of the game has locked you in this building as you're dying of malaria and lit that fucker on fire while he sent his army outside to kill you. But on top of that, you've already you do all this wild shit in that game of that game is I think really the best one, and I think like the malaria thing it drove so many people away from that game that I think that's maybe why they kind of went this style for 3 that they did, and then like that was like such a fucking thing that started.
Yeah, it was such a success for them that they've kind of stuck with that same, those same mechanics and that same type of gameplay. All right, so here's where we start to get pretty low as far as just general releases. That's about the first 3 months is about where we have a pretty solid idea of most of the stuff that, a lot of the stuff that's coming out. April is the official release of We Happy Few, and I have not checked in on We Happy Few.
Need to go back to that
in a long time. I am curious what state that game is. I know I was actually looking at it the other day while I was making this list, and everything I'm seeing in that game is people just complaining about how they hiked the price up from $20 to $50 or $60 or whatever it is.
And then they added in a season pass after the fact. Yeah, it goes into that also being a Kickstarter game, and
weird.
Yeah,
like I back to that game. I think there's like a really cool idea there. I want to go back at some point before official 1.0 release.
Yeah.
Because I think like there is something cool about that setting and that environment. I just remember like that game has had it rough because they not only had that, but then they had the E3 thing where they showed off the intro cutscene to that game.
That is so impacting.
That intro cutscene is super not indicative of what that game is. Like they make it look like it's this survival sim sort of game, or not a survival sim, but like a BioShock sort of thing, and it's totally not. It's a survival game.
Yeah, it's a crafting, like, I don't know, and I wonder like where it's getting to, if it's getting maybe a little bit closer to what that like original stuff is showing, because like I was reading that there are like ultimately they want to have like 3 different characters with their own storylines, and like that has potential there to do it. But yeah, I need to go back and check it out. When I got into it and I first checked it out, it was way too early access for me to really spend any significant amount of time in it.
I think we've still got a video up of before early access, because with the Kickstart backer thing, like I had that game before it even hit early access, and man, that thing was like fucking like that was not a good way to experience that for the first time. And then every time since then has been like, okay, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing, but still, like,
I mean, that's the funny thing about early access. Like some early access stuff, it's pretty solid and it works really well basically from day one. Like I think of Fire Pro Wrestling, like yeah, definitely rough around the edges and whatnot, but basically from the day that they put it out, it was pretty solid, and it was kind of just a slow grind to get to what they considered 1.0, which I think they hit sometime end of December. But yeah, and then you got other games that like early access, like they are basically unplayable for a lot of it, until they get a little bit more solid.
You get one first impression.
Yeah. And
if your first impression is an early access shit show, I mean, look, like that's still what a lot of people look at PUBG as, and like that's also I think fair because the Xbox version of that is pretty subpar at this point.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people still don't like they look at that early footage and like, yeah, this thing looks like dog shit.
Dang.
And it's better. It's one of the top 5 games of last year.
Some would say that.
But yeah, you get like one good chance, and there are some that can do it. Like Darkest Dungeon, I think, was another really good example of like, hey, this is a really good first impression to you, but We Happy Few, man, that sucks really bad for them. It sucks really bad. Like they did Contrast before this, and that's like, I think maybe the only other game they've got on their record is that.
So. Yeah.
That's rough.
So that's the only thing right now that we have a solid date of April 4. That's April 13th is when We Happy Few is supposed to go to 1.0. We have just announced today Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Is that just a re-release of the Wii U version?
The Wii U.
So it is a re-release of the Wii U version, but they've also added in, you know him, you love him. He's the most bodacious Kong of them all. Funky Kong is in the game, and they have added him in there.
Okay.
And he's basically their easy mode. I have this right here. I think this is just a very important representation of the character of Funky Kong.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna.
Let's hear it.
Hey, dude. How's it hanging?
What?
Bodacious.
What a.
That is a
That's
Funky
funky.
Kong ASMR.
Okay.
It is him as a caring and supportive Funky Kong giving you a ride home from the airport. So he's a pretty bodacious dude.
Who was what was the Donkey Kong character from Donkey Kong 3, the big like baby one? What was that guy's name?
Simpleton Kong. I know who you're talking about. It's not Lanky Kong. It's
it's probably with a D, right? Is it Dizzy? Is it Dizzy?
Dickhead, I don't know.
I think there's a Dizzy.
Is it Dizzy, the big like baby one? God, that third one was not great.
Nope, it's not.
But yeah, I mean that'd be interesting. I mean, kind of like what I said with Bayonetta 2, Tropical Freeze is one of those games that I just never got on the Wii U because just never really got around to it. So I might check that out. That's coming out May 4th. May 25th, then we have a remaster of Dark Souls, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
First one?
Yeah, the first
the original.
one. I mean, the original is Demon's Souls.
Oh,
But-
that is true.
That can't come out to the Nintendo because that was funded by Sony, so that can't come out. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's true. Yeah. So yeah, sorry if I didn't say coming out to the Switch, which is pretty
coming
crazy.
out to the Xbox One and PS4 as well. I think day and date.
Probably.
I mean, just having it on the Switch is fucking cool. Like
Yeah.
that is a really cool and weird thing. I think that thing's gonna maybe play like shit in handheld mode, but I'm excited to see how shit it plays in handheld mode.
I mean, why? I mean, it's a 360 game. Maybe they just don't remaster it all that much. I don't.
No, I don't think that the graphics or anything are going to be the problem. I think the controls are going to be the fucking thing.
Oh.
Like if you're playing that thing on handheld mode, that's probably not going to be the way to play it. I'll make this radical guess here that you don't want to play that game in handheld mode.
Maybe.
You think?
I mean,
think
people
Nintendo would put in like some sort of easy mode for that game,
No.
or request it.
I don't know.
Defeat
if they
the whole
would do
purpose.
that. I don't know if they.
No,
would
I
do
mean
that.
well, I don't think like Bayo doesn't have anything like that in it, does it?
Oh yeah, Bayonetta. At least the first one had like a press one button and win mode in it. Like
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play it on that mode. To be fair, did not play it on that mode. I played it on whatever their normal easy mode was because I'm terrible at those games.
Kitty Kong. It's Kitty Kong.
Kitty Kong. That's worse.
Kitty Kong.
That's worse.
That's a bad name.
It's terrible. Give me
For Dizzy Kong.
Dizzy.
But yeah, so
Dizzy would've been good.
it's also coming out to the PS4 with like HDR and 4K support.
That's cool.
That's cool.
That's the
I mean,
Souls game
like-
that people like because people don't like Dark Souls 2. So,
Not a lot of people like Dark Souls 2.
and Dark Souls 3 was of
Not a
course
lot.
great, but that's on current consoles, so that's cool.
Yeah, then they're also releasing like a $500 collection in Japan that like
Jesus.
includes bookends. So this whole Nintendo shit. Okay, we should talk about the Nintendo thing really quickly because it's the most insane bullshit. So like
Okay.
yesterday, everybody's like, yeah, like everybody's been thinking there's gonna be this Nintendo Direct coming up, and we haven't heard shit about it. Like this is really weird. They should be announcing it like today is the day they should be going like, hey, it's going to be tomorrow at this date, and nobody heard anything. And then people were getting conflicting reports. Some people were saying, like, yes, there's definitely going to be one. Other people were like, no, it's definitely not going to happen. And then Nintendo of fucking America posts on Twitter. They post a fucking Chibi Robo on fire holding his hands up like this. And everybody's confused as fuck. Then this morning, somebody finally made the connection that the Chibi Robo on fire was actually supposed to be a representation of Solaire from Dark Souls doing the pose. Like,
okay.
The most fucking batshit
That's what
crazy
that
stuff.
was. Is that was supposed to be praising the sun, and they just released it early. Okay.
No, they just were like, yeah, fuck it. They also
no one will
like,
understand this reference.
They like retweeted a thing that they posted at the start of the month of like Squawks from Super Mario Odyssey. Like saying like, there's a hint somewhere around here, and if you can find it, da 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 da. So everybody's losing their fucking shit yesterday.
I saw the Squawks thing. Yeah, I didn't put two and two together there.
And then this morning, they're like, it's just like somebody put it together that like, oh shit, like that's actually what it is. And it might actually be the announcement of this Dark Souls remaster. And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, within 30 minutes, we're going to have this direct. And it, like, I'll say it did the job of throwing off the leakers. Like, nothing got leaked because nobody knew what the fuck was going on. Yeah.
That's hilarious. All right. So yeah, also, and the last thing that you kind of have a solid-ish date for would be the Street Fighter 30th anniversary is slated for May. There's not an actual like date in there, but it is supposed to be in May. Of course, that's the, what is it, 6 games? 8 games? 10? There's a lot of games. It's a lot of games.
Oh god, yeah, it's a pretty large number. Like,
well, and it's also they're also kind of cheating because they're calling like every iteration of like Street Fighter 2 its own game, which is probably fair, you know. And it doesn't have it doesn't have Street Fighter the movie in it, so really, how legitimate is it anyways? No, I'm kidding. No one wants to play that game.
Okay, the game. If we're talking about the game, then yeah, nobody wants to play the game. But if we want to watch the movie, like,
sure, I'll watch the movie.
I'll watch Raul Julia be M. Bison all fucking day of the week.
Yep, the most American man, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I'm such a fan of America. I love America. As America's great. I'm Gael.
I don't know.
So yeah, it's Street Fighter. Street Fighter 2.
Tell me why.
Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting. Super Street Fighter 2. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo Edition. Street Fighter Alpha. Street Fighter Alpha 2. Street Fighter Alpha 3. Street Fighter 3. Street Fighter 3 Second Impact. And Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So 12.
Oof, that's a lot. Yeah, I mean.
But like, you've got a million different iterations of 2 in there. You've got
like, I mean, like, are you, like, is anyone to go just play like original Street 2? Like, if you're gonna play Street Fighter 2, you're either gonna play Turbo or Super, probably. Like, you're not gonna go mess around with those other random versions. But hey, that thing looks cool. Like, that thing's like looks like a real good deal. Unless you bought the Street Fighter HD remaster this last year.
Sucks to be you.
Yeah, then what we have left here is things that are supposedly, potentially, maybe, possibly coming out in 2018. Is just a whole bunch of games that might come out in 2018 in alphabetical order. Some that we know a lot about, some that we don't know anything about. We'll run down the list here, and obviously nothing that we're talking about has any guarantee to be coming out in 2018. We had a similar...
There's a couple we know are slated for a time slot.
No, I mean, look at, even with that being said, like, look at, like, last year, Red Dead Redemption was supposed to come out, or Red Dead Redemption 2 was supposed to come out in 2017.
Yeah, true.
And then it ended up getting pushed, and now it's who knows when that game is coming out, you know? Like we were talking about that, we kind of back and look.
Get that PC port ready. That's all they got to do. They just got to get the PC port ready.
Sure, yeah. No, they were like, wait, guys, Grand Theft Auto 5 is still making a lot of money for Grand Theft Auto Online, so like, let's not kill it quite yet. We have more packs of cars and stuff to put out. But yeah, we're looking at like our 2017 version of that we did, and there was a whole bunch of games that didn't come out last year that we talked about, including Red Dead Redemption 2, for example. But let's start at the list. So something that I don't actually, we all talk to, don't even think, Anthem, I keep seeing on lists of 2018 games, and I really don't feel like that game is supposed to come out in 2018. But I keep seeing it listed on like Wikipedia, and it's listed, like Polygon did an article, and Anthem was in there, I think. Maybe, I don't remember. I read that a couple days ago, and like, I could see it because I don't know what else EA's big game would be, but
it would be a Battlefield game, like that's
true.
Like
yeah, but I mean, we just had Battlefield 2 years ago, and they're not quite on that short of a cycle for those games, I wouldn't think, because even Hardline, which I think technically came out like in between, like, you know, but it was like a weird like March, February release that like wasn't the same.
There was also like what's the studio? They just shut down.
Visceral worked on Hardline, or at least the single player version of Hardline.
Yeah, so like I could actually see that happening because they're on that schedule with Battlefront now, where it's every 2 years.
I guess.
So
maybe.
The thing is, I think that maybe right now they have to look really hard at what their loot box stuff is going to be with that game. Considering how much Battlefront just fucking lost them.
Just drop out and say no loot boxes, and then drop the mic. That's all you got to do. Just be done. Just be done.
I don't think that would work quite so well with EA being EA. You know, we're doing something okay-ish. Yeah.
We hear you guys. All right. So, anyways, but yeah.
Okay, do we have a bet on how many times we're gonna hear the term "we've listened to our fans" this year?
Oh God,
I can't count that high.
I feel like we might be getting one with the Destiny announcement that's coming out today.
Oh yeah.
Has that happened yet? That should have happened by now. Is that?
I don't know that it's happened yet. I haven't heard anything about it, but I've been on this call for a bit. So
yeah, well, and I worked and then I came here and I did this. So I didn't even get to watch the Nintendo Direct. I heard all the Nintendo Direct stuff secondhand from you. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess that should probably, like, Destiny 2, something should be on this list somewhere, right? So moving down alphabetical order.
We're finally going to have a finished version of Destiny.
Destiny 2 1.0. It's going to be out of early access, you guys. So we have BattleTech. This is the year that, like, mechs are coming back, you guys. There's a BattleTech.
Fuck yeah.
I think this BattleTech, is a strategy game. And there's also, farther down this list, MechWarrior 5 is freaking coming back.
Oh yeah!
Like, I don't know if any of those games will be good. Like, I know I loved MechWarrior back in the day. But I'm super excited to see that type of thing coming back. Especially if you got a VR, because I feel like that type of game, like being in a mech and doing your thing, is like the perfect VR game.
What was that Microsoft game where it was like the big keyboard? Okay.
Oh, that's Steel Battalion. That was a Kinect thing that Microsoft got into it, but it existed prior to that, with the giant keyboards and like.
So what you're saying is, if that Steel Battalion just had VR in it, it would have been perfect.
Exactly. That was the only thing that there was nothing else that was wrong with that. Okay. Yeah, so I'm excited. I don't know. I don't really know anything about either of those games. I think, but they're supposed to come out this year. This is the year of giant mech manned robots coming back. 2. And I'm excited. Yeah, and you get Pacific Rim 2 also.
I would just like to add one side note here. Don't be paying attention to Twitter right now, because I went on to find Destiny news and I found some racist shit going on. So that's fun.
Oh yeah.
It's fun time.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways. Breaking news. We need a ticker at the bottom. Internet's still the internet. Got it.
Yep.
We have a Biomutant, which is, if you guys remember, this is the game about like a little rat mouse thing that like upgrades his body with like bionics that looks really weird, but potentially really cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of Biofreaks for some reason to be on 64. And I was
Yeah.
like, are they bringing it back?
It's back.
Biofreaks?
It's remastered. No, yeah. So I mean, I don't think they've said a ton of, but that is supposed to be a 2018 game, and like just the idea of what they were showing sounded interesting. Of like,
Yeah.
are you choosing to go more like down a bionic route? Do you want to go more of like a natural route? Like I think is kind of what they were going with. You have Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, which of course is the kickstarted Castlevania-esque game. Every time something comes up that's kickstarted, it still like makes me think of like Yooka-Laylee and what's the Mega Man one? I can't think of it right now.
Mighty Number 9.
Yeah, Mighty Number 9.
Like, I think the difference is that Bloodstained, they have had demos out for it for a while, so people see like what that game looks like. It's also not the Mighty Number 9 thing because it's actually Igurushi who actually worked on those games as opposed to Inafune, who didn't have really any involvement with Mega Man. He just kind of was the pitch guy for it. I think that game like could be pretty good. Like the stuff they've shown off like in the demo, they're doing the right things. I just don't like. It's been so long since we've seen anything major from that game that I really wonder what it's looking like at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Because look at I love me some Castlevania, like some good old school, Symphony of the Night Castlevania. So I would totally dig a new one of those. Crackdown 3 is either coming out this year or is completely dead. Probably one of those two. Who wants to take bets on which one it's going to be?
Man, I don't want to put money on that shit because, man.
Nah, they're going to release it.
No, they will. They will.
I just don't know what state it's going to be.
They're going to be like, all right, we're releasing Crackdown later this year, and it's going to be $40.
And it's going to be $40.
Early access.
We're totally not doing the same thing that we did with Recore last year, you guys. It's totally a different thing.
Totally different. I mean, I don't know. Crackdown 3, man, we'll see. We'll see what that feels like a game that should probably come out like nowish, like within the next couple of months, rather than be like a big budget fall release like they were going to try to do.
It should be like late February, like early March.
Yeah, but we got Darksiders 3 coming out supposedly this year.
Supposedly.
I would definitely be interested in a Darksiders 3. I really like the first Darksiders. I know a lot of people were not as big of fans of Darksiders 2. I still really like Darksiders 2, even though it definitely did different things than Darksiders 1. And I don't necessarily know a ton about the new studio that they... Gunfire Games is who it is that they THQ Nordic kind of put together to make another Darksiders sequel, but I'm definitely going to be interested whatever comes out of that, whether it's good or not. I hope it's good, but I'm a big enough fan of Darksiders that I will definitely check that out whenever that ends up being a real thing. But we haven't seen a ton. Like everything that I've seen has been like really early, kind of like tech demo things of Darksiders 3.
Very like quick. Like here's a couple seconds of clips of it.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
I think that this studio has a bunch of people from Vigil in it.
Hopefully.
Probably.
But I don't know that it's like all of the names that were. 'Cause they had, I don't remember who they had. Like one of their big art guys on it. I don't think it was Ali Moss, but they had somebody on that team, and I don't think that he's coming back for this game, which is kind of disappointing because I think that art stuff really drove that game and its style.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the designs of like all like the heavenly beings and the demonic beings, they definitely did some cool stuff there. You got Days Gone, the Sony Bend Studios is the studio that's working on that. That's the motorcycle biker zombie game, of course.
Okay.
That is supposedly supposed to come out this year. I mean, if that comes out this year, that means we probably don't get Last of Us Part 2 this year, which I would honestly much rather have Last of Us Part 2.
I mean, I don't think we were going to get Last of Us Part 2 this year.
You don't think so? It feels like...
No, I don't think so. I think that maybe like early next year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think that... I don't think it's this year, though.
I want Last of Us Part 2. But Days Gone's one of those things that like I don't really feel like I have seen... Like, even though they've had some pretty extensive like E3 demos of what that game is, like I'm still kind of like what we were talking about with Sea of Thieves, still don't feel like I have a huge grasp of what exactly that game is. Yeah. Dead Island 2... I don't think I've heard anything about Dead Island 2 since that like trailer back like 2 years ago. And I don't know if
They've said that they are still working on it in some capacity, but it was like I think it got completely retooled, and I think they might have gotten rid of the team that was working on it.
Well, I mean, because a lot of the team that did the Dead Island games ultimately ended up doing Dying Light, which I loved Dying Light, and so yeah, I'm not entirely sure who is left doing Dead Island 2.
It's what Techland, Techland did the first one. It's Sumo Digital is doing this one, so that's I think it just switched hands. So
I mean, so we'll see. Like that's a game that's still on the radar. Like maybe like considering how little we've heard of it, probably not coming out this year. Just like the next game on this list, Death Stranding, which is not coming out this year, but
yeah, there's no way on that one.
But hey, you know what? Like this could be a surprise. Like it actually turned out that Metal Gear Survive is actually Death Stranding. It's all a ruse. It's actually been part of the Konami thing the whole time.
There's a part of me, this microscopic part back of my head, that really wants the guys at Reddit Never Be Game Over to actually be correct, and that Metal Gear Survive is just another part of this batshit crazy plan by Hideo Kojima to build up hype for the final chapter of Metal Gear Solid V, and that they're actually going to release it, and that's actually what Death Stranding is. Now that shit is never fucking happening ever. Whatsoever.
No.
But every so often there's this little glimmer in my mind that's like, man, if they were smart enough, this setup would be the fucking craziest shit in the world for Kojima to be like, yeah, I'm still working with him. I've been working with this whole time.
Yeah.
That actually would be the clusterfuck crazy mind shit that he has been trying to do since Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think I fell off like so a lot of that like crazy conspiracy talk about Metal Gear Solid 5. A lot of it also had to do with the whole Kiefer Sutherland David Hayter thing, which when that game came out full and it was all Kiefer Sutherland, kind of like, all right, I think this is just this. Like, I don't think there's anything.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was going to be this like big thing of like, oh, like look at this is why it was Kiefer Sutherland all along, because it wasn't really like, oh no, that's they just kind of just stuck with that the whole time. Like,
the genius thing would have been like at the last scene that you get is like him meeting Solid Snake, and he's actually voiced by David.
Yeah,
Hayter.
But David Hayter, exactly.
Because, at some point, you have to change that voice of old Snake. Like, you have to change his voice. So, why the fuck not just do it here? But no, like, it's just, he wanted to fucking work with Kiefer Sutherland, and that's why he did that.
Yeah. So, continuing the Sony train, we got Detroit Become Human. Of course, everyone loves David Cage and
Emotions.
all of the games that he's made. He's actually, I mean, Beyond Two Souls was bad. Like, had a couple cool like parts of it, but for the overall was pretty bad. Heavy Rain's good, Indigo Prophecy's good, but
Indigo Prophecy is like funny good though is the thing. Like, it doesn't hold up the way that you think it does, because the end of that thing is you going up against an ancient Mayan and an AI that has come to life. Like, that's stupid as shit.
Oh, look at that game gets real dumb at the end of it. Like, I'm well aware of that. It's really dumb. after being really cool for like the first 80-90% of that game. And then it was like, oh, by the way, aliens. Like, wait, what? No, that's not where we were leading at all. Like, I thought it was like demonic possession, not aliens. Okay, sure. Yeah, Detroit looks interesting. I mean, you know, they're doing the whole, like, you know, humans. What does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be a robot? Like, the most recent thing they showed, which was like the child molesting dad thing, was really off-putting.
Don't do that. There's one person in this industry that I don't trust to handle these issues, and it's fucking David Cage. It's going to be such a disaster. Like, trying to equate this shit to apartheid, like worse than like the machine apartheid stuff in Deus Ex. Like it's him. Like, no, but they are like a different race. It's like, no, honey, no, don't, nope, don't do this. Don't do this.
Yeah. So then we have Fee, which I'm trying to remember which one that is. It's one of those like EA what do they call their EA originals?
Originals. So that actually did get an announced date today.
Okay.
As well. It's the 16th of February.
Okay. So which one is that? You got to remind me which one Fee is, because I don't remember which one that is.
It is. It's like a 2D art style. I guess like the easiest way would honestly be for me to show you.
I remember that one. It's the one with the it looks like Ori, but it's
a bit, yeah.
But it was
like a lot of sharp, jagged edges.
Yeah. I remember that one. That looks cool.
Yeah.
More Sony stuff. Why are all the Sony games like start with the same several letters? I don't know. God of War, of course. That is something I am super excited for. Probably coming out this year.
Yeah, I feel like it has to.
Presumably, like,
it looks so interesting. I mean, look at the last God of War game that came out was not great. God of War Ascension's pretty bad. But God of War 1, 2, and 3 are all pretty great. So if they pull off any type of thing of like the crazy over the top, killing giant bosses stuff, that would be cool. Or if they really like land home on the like small like personable story of Kratos and his son, like that could also be really cool as well. Super interested in that. I just wrote down a game that I don't think technically exists.
Okay.
But this is the year for Halo 6, right? Like, isn't that how the time... Like, isn't it been 3 years since Halo 5? Like, it has to, because because they didn't have anything in 2017, and then 2016 was Gears 4, so that would be Halo was 2015.
Well, this is the year that they're fixing the Master Chief Collection, so presumably that is gonna be the thing, like, right?
Up.
Like,
that's super messed up.
I mean, it is. Like, that's not me. That's them saying it.
That this is. Oh, I didn't. Is that are they still saying that's a thing that's gonna get fixed?
They're fixing it for the Xbox One X.
Okay,
like, that is their goal, is to get that thing running okay on the Xbox One X.
Yeah, that wasn't the problem. It wasn't the power. It was the servers. Actually, was the problem with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this has got to be the year that Halo 6 comes out, finishing off that second lackluster trilogy of Master Chief games.
Taste the mediocrity.
They haven't shown anything, though, right? So...
No, that's what I'm saying. Technically, it doesn't exist.
Either.
I don't think they've said the words Halo 6 in any official context. I just think this has to be the year that Halo 6 comes out.
It has to be.
Like, I mean, either that or they're having a longer spread between games than they've traditionally had, because like Call of Duty has been on their like yearly thing and whatnot. Like Halo, I think, has been pretty steadily every 3 years. But yeah, so hopefully that's Microsoft's big thing. It's probably not going to be cracked down.
And that's the smart move, is to give it some breathing room. Let it
do its own thing.
Hopefully.
I mean, I just hope they really wrap up like the 5 was such a mess. Like, I mean, they did really solid multiplayer, and they've really done a good job like supporting and adding things to that multiplayer. But like that campaign was just a mess. Like, ugh.
It was awful.
So one of the new Nintendo Direct games that was announced today, Hyrule Warriors Ultimate Edition, coming to Switch sometime this spring.
Yeah.
Another Wii U game.
Yeah, we all love those. I mean, everyone loved Fire Emblem Warriors when it came out here a couple months ago. By the way, that's a game that probably should have been on our games that we forgot came out this year, because I forgot until very recently that game was actually out.
True.
I mean, like, I think that.
Hey, I'm not saying it would have won.
Fire Emblem. I'm not saying like Fire. I think like us not being Fire Emblem guys. Like, I think that's just a part of it.
Yeah, but also it's
like,
another.
if you're a fan of.
It's another one of those Warriors games. So.
Yeah.
I never played Hyrule Warriors. I heard all right things about it.
Hyrule Warriors is fucking great.
Yeah, that's not what I heard about it. For the majority,
right.
but
then you heard wrong.
I heard wrong. Okay, good. A game that I am, in a really weird sense, actually really interested in is Jurassic World Evolution, because it's the thing that I would actually want out of a Jurassic Park game. It's a tycoon game. Like, it's building an actual dinosaur theme park, which sounds pretty cool.
So I thought you were fucking insane for putting this on here, but then I saw that Frontier Developments is making this thing, and fucking let's go. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, like
Frontier. Frontier Developments, you do good theme park shit.
Yeah, okay. And it's like, if they're gonna make I don't want a Jurassic World game that is like, oh, let's go down and let's kill these dinosaurs or blah blah. Like, no, like, I want to make a freaking theme park, and I want to put a T-Rex enclosure, and I want to feed it meat and watch all the people clap. Like, that sounds awesome. Like, that sounds really cool.
Can I put Chief Beef into this game? Because if I can put Chief Beef into this game, fucking 10 out of 10 game of the year.
So that game sounds really interesting. I mean, like, I just, like, from way back in the day, I remember Dinosaur Tycoon, which was like one of my favorite games as a kid, which was the same, way before Jurassic Park was a thing. So another game that's like Death Stranding that's not going to come out this year probably is Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, I think this one actually probably has a better chance of coming out than Death Stranding, but
yeah.
I don't know about that, you guys. Like, we've seen, like, the only thing I've seen from it is like a short gameplay trailer that looked exactly like Kingdom Hearts 2. We haven't seen it. Just showed like the little black monsters, like, being fought with a keyblade. Like, nothing about like the worlds that you would go to or any of the Disney stuff that you could get into. And there's so much Disney stuff that they could use. Because Disney has everything.
As long as I can get into King of the Hill world, I think that Disney having a monopoly over every single fucking thing in our lives is fine.
Yep, I think that's the two things I heard about when Disney acquired Fox that portion of Fox was, X-Men can be part of the Marvel Universe, and like, we might have a Simpsons in Kingdom Hearts 3. And I'm like, really? Like, that's what you guys were excited about, is Simpsons in Kingdom Hearts? Okay, sure, whatever, I guess. Like, what floats your boat, you guys? Like, I don't think they're going to do that for some reason. Maybe it's just me.
Is Peggy Hill a Disney princess?
I mean, I think she has to be, obviously. So we have Left Alive, which is another Square Enix game that I am not remembering now that I've seen it on paper, so I got to look it up to remind myself what that is.
It's the Yoji Shinkawa thing. I think that's all that I know about that game, is that Yoji Shinkawa is doing the art for that. And he's the guy who did the art for Metal Gear. Okay,
yeah. I mean, I guess I see it's like with other games, it is another mech game, so that sounds cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's supposed to come out sometime in 2018. You have Mario Tennis Aces. Is that a Switch game?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Another one that got announced today.
Yeah, that's another one of the Nintendo Direct games from today. Hey, Mario Tennis is really good.
Yep.
Is Mario Tennis the best of those Mario Does X thing? Probably. I'm trying to think.
I like me some Mario Golf.
Mario Golf was good.
Mario Hoops. I don't know.
I always hear the What's the soccer one? I feel like I heard people talk fondly of the soccer one.
Oh, yeah, the
like
freestyle soccer or something like that.
Mario Super Kicker something other. I don't know.
Super kick to the dicks. I don't know.
Anyways, we already talked about MechWarrior. We'll skip past that. Mega Man 11. Of course, the much anticipated sequel to the Mega Man. What was that? Mega Man 10 was like the 360 game, right? Or the 360 PS3 game?
It was a downloadable thing. Yeah.
But that one was made in the style of Mega Men of old, where Mega Man 11 is 3D sprites and models, which is... I don't know how I feel about that.
Looks good. Like, it looks like what Mighty Number 9 wanted to do.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Like, it looks... I think it looks good. Like, I think, like, it looks responsive. Like the stuff looks like, and it's not like it's like kind of that 2.5D, I guess, is what you
sure.
call it.
Yeah.
But I think like visually, it's way more interesting than what they did with Mighty Number 9. I think that going back to the pixel art thing, I think would really be tired at this point.
Well, they already did it. That's the thing.
Yeah,
they already did it. Like where, you look at like Sonic Mania, which like this is the first time that Sonic, that Sega had really gone back and done like a full on like pixel art, version of that game. And yeah, Capcom's already done that with Mega Man recently even. Yeah, I've never been a Mega Man guy, so that doesn't do a whole lot for me. But I definitely think that looks interesting. You have Metro Exodus, which is that was on these lists when I was looking up on like Wikipedia and whatnot. I don't feel like that's a 2018 game.
Man, I think it'd be dope as shit if it was. I don't know that it is. I don't know that they've said what the date is for it. So
they probably haven't. I mean, or maybe they did. Like back at E3 when they announced it, maybe there was something that said 2018 on it. I don't know, but I don't. I did play. I played a little bit of Metro 2033. Couldn't get into it. Did play the second one. I forget what it's called right now.
Last Light. Yeah,
Last Light. So like, but what they showed of this looked really cool. Like something that I could definitely get on board with. And then Nintendo Direct today. Did they talk at all about Metroid Prime?
No.
Okay, so one of those other ones that was kind of announced like really shortly in a Nintendo Direct like last month or the month before, and we haven't really heard anything else about Metroid Prime 4 besides that.
Prime 4 was announced at the E3 one.
Was it really that long ago that was announced?
Yeah, it was the E3 one.
Okay.
It was the same thing with Yoshi. Those were both announced at E3 last year.
They just kind of did a name drop, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like we're working on it. Get hype.
Yeah, I love
5 years.
I was looking up stuff about like getting like like the developers, and I was like who's working? Is Retro working on that? And then I pull it up and it just says quotes talented new team is all it said on the Nintendo website about who was working on Metroid Prime. It's like okay.
People have been digging for that information for months at this point, and nobody is quite sure who the fuck is working on that game.
Yeah.
So.
And then also
it could just be a thing where they're like, oh yeah, by the way, mock up the Metroid Prime 4 logo.
Yeah, we're gonna do that, right? Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, sure. Let's say we're gonna do that. I don't have this written down here, but do you guys think there's any chance that Pokemon Switch game comes out this year? I think that's probably too fast. The one that they said that they were working on.
Not for them.
Yeah.
Not for a Pokemon team. Like I don't know. Like I think it could. I think it'd be a late like November sort of thing.
If it was for sure. Yeah.
But like those guys have been putting out like game a year in some capacity. Now like the difference is that like with the last gen with the 3DS stuff, it was like, oh, we're putting out a remaster of these older games.
Sure, yeah.
Sort of to fill that space. So like I don't know, they totally could have that thing out. I wouldn't be super surprised if they did, if that's their big fall, like one of their big fall pushes.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would hope that what they are going to plan to do with that Switch version is a step above like what the 3DS was capable of, like take full advantage of the power of something like the Switch. do something to Pokemon like, hey, like maybe what you did to, say, Legend of Zelda, and maybe kind of look at that formula and throw it out the window and do something completely different. But hell, it would be cool just to get a actual console Pokemon game that's not Pokemon Stadium or Pokemon Snap. Cool as those games may have been, as one of those games may have been, I never found the idea of Pokemon Stadium. Red Dead Redemption 2 has to come out this year. Like, come on now. Like,
I feel it is.
It's been a long time since Grand Theft Auto 5. We've been hearing about Red Dead Redemption 2, was, like we were saying earlier, supposed to come out in 2017. But Rockstar plays by their own rules, so we probably won't hear about that, at any normal show. That they will put out a trailer at some point in the next couple of months that will probably have a release date on it. And
in 2 months, it's out, yeah.
Yeah, and they also don't have to go by the standard of, oh, this is going to come in October or September or November. Like, they just release it whenever, and they will still sell tons of them. They will still sell tons of copies. It doesn't really matter. Because that's how those games are. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is not even officially the title of the next Tomb Raider game, but Tomb Raider has been out there saying, we have big news for you in 2018. So something's coming out in 2018 called Tomb Raider, probably.
It's Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Like, they put out that message. Like, it's either a fucking trolly as shit thing or, like, not, where they're like, we're committed. Like, it's this message where they're, like, talking about how they're still committed to Tomb Raider and they're really excited for it. And if you put the first letters of each sentence, it spells out Shadow. It's fucking Shadow.
Oh, did
Shadow
I that's funny. I didn't hear that. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So it's like, it's gotta be Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Like,
yeah. And
that's a good name for it too.
Yes, that's a really good name.
It's a really good, solid name.
Yep. Yeah. I'm definitely be excited for another Tomb Raider game. Definitely wasn't as high of Rise of the Tomb Raider as I was that original reboot, but it's hard to kind of match just kind of the surprise and what that original reboot was.
It also, that also suffered because it was like this Xbox One exclusive thing. Yeah. And I hope they don't do that again.
Yeah,
I guess that's technically true. Yeah, that I guess the Rise of the Tomb Raider didn't technically come out for PS3 or PS4 until last year, huh? I didn't think about that.
Yeah, they staggered it by a year. Yeah, it's crazy.
And like, by all accounts, that was like the best version of the game too. Is the fucked up part? Like, man, that's that game deserves better than that. Yeah. So,
but I think we all played it on Xbox when it came out, as an Xbox game. I don't think the actual, like, the quality and of that game suffered in any way other than just the amount of people who actually got to get their hands on it and try it,
because the thing was that, like, the first month of, like, the PC availability was all, like, they sold higher in that month than they had sold on the Xbox up until that point.
Yeah.
Wow. So, like, that's a super fucked thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that game is good.
Yeah.
So
definitely good.
Man.
Shenmue 3, which they very recently just reiterated, is definitely scheduled to come out in 2018, which is insane still that is a thing that exists.
Didn't they just put in, like, one set of facial animations? Like, wasn't that their big update? Was like, hey, we finally put in facial animations, you guys. We finally did it for this one character. You didn't want
the doll physics or the doll animations for all the characters.
No, do that. Make those characters dull as that game actually is.
No, don't. That's nightmare fuel is what that is. God, that trailer was like, why would you release that trailer? Okay, we're getting aside from it. I wish
release something.
I wish there was an easy way to go play those old Shenmue games. Like, they didn't put Shenmue out on anything besides Dreamcast, right? Like, Shenmue 2 I know came to Xbox in the US.
The original, though, was just a Dreamcast.
I think it's just Dreamcast, yeah. And that never really got...
The rumor was that supposedly there might be a remaster coming out at some point.
That would, yeah. I mean, I
makes sense.
I could get on board with a Shenmue 1 and 2 remaster collection thing.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. But but if Shenmue 3 is coming out in 2018, I feel like we would have heard of that by now. Like if they wanted to decently space them out, from each other.
That's true.
Who knows?
You saw that they put that trailer out. Do you think they're making good decisions?
That's also true.
Hey, I mean, you think Sony is holding them to some sort of something, right?
I feel like this is a franchise that you definitely need to you need to do some sort of updated version of the original too, because it's like you said, it's so hard to play the originals. And
yeah,
it's been
so here's what I'll say. So Shenmue 2, when it came out on Xbox, included a disc with it that was a movie version of the original Shenmue game.
That was awesome.
Which I have watched prior to playing Shenmue 2 back in the day.
Which seems like that's the ideal way to play Shenmue. 2018.
28. Yes, that's Adam starting it off very cynical and very hateful. So we got a Skull and Bones, the Ubisoft pirate game where you're exclusively in a boat.
Wait a minute, I thought we already talked about Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered. Oh.
So Skull and Bones, I think if it comes out in 2018, is confirmed. It's the For Honor of 2018. I think that's just a given, is what that game will be. I don't think there's any other way around it.
Because it means it'll probably get decent support, but nobody will fucking play it.
Yep, that sounds about right. Like, it'll be an alright game that has some cool things about it, and no one will play it, and they'll start seasons of Skull and Bonery. Are you gonna be part of the privateers? Or are you gonna be part of the pirate? I don't know. Soul Calibur 6. I don't know if that's a 2018 game or not. That was pretty recently announced. What was that? That was announced at the Game Awards, right?
Does your soul still burn?
Love
that. That was a great little moment. That was a great little moment on that show. Just like, yeah, we're gonna talk about Tekken for a few seconds, and then like, yo, does your soul still burn?
That's good.
Like, he's so questioning about it himself. He doesn't know if his soul still burns.
He wanted to make sure, like, are you guys, like, we can put one out if you guys think it's still, we can make one of those.
If you guys will put up with us, like, we'll do it, like, I guess, but...
That was one of those surprising things from that show, was the announcement of Soul Calibur 6, just, like kind of seemingly, like, out of nowhere.
Okay, like, we're doing that? Okay, yeah.
That. We have Insomniac's Spider-Man game, which I feel like probably should have come out last year, like maybe alongside, say, a really good Spider-Man movie. But hey, if it wasn't ready, it wasn't ready. I will still definitely check that out when that game comes out, because it looks cool, and there have been good Spider-Man games that have existed.
Maybe they'll
recently.
Maybe they'll put it out with Infinity War.
I liked Shattered Dimensions a whole lot.
I've heard people say Link Beside You.
There was a couple. There was another one or two after that definitely weren't as cool, but Shattered Dimensions was cool.
That's the one that had like the noir Spider-Man.
Yeah, had steampunk noir Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It had like super futuristic Spider-Man. Like there was some cool stuff in that game for sure. State of Decay 2. Another game that I think was supposed to come out last year. Finally doing the thing that the original State of Decay should have done, which is be an actual co-op game. That, like, if they kind of take like the really interesting ideas from State of Decay and put that into kind of a more thought out, maybe a little bit more money behind it game with co-op, like State of Decay 2 could be really cool. Super interested in what that ends up being.
And then, like 6 months later, they add in a 100-player battle royale mode.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
Oh God, it's a 100-player battle royale, but there are also just roaming zombies on the map. I think you're onto something, Adam. That sounds actually pretty cool. That sounds pretty cool.
Like, let's do it. The smoke or whatever. It's like a horde of zombies like closing in or something.
Oh, that's actually
you can
pretty.
Shoot through. Yeah.
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
pretty good idea. Like
let's fucking do it.
Like you see like someone like who's like in a house, and rather than shooting them, you just like cause noise at their location to draw the zombies to them.
Yeah.
And they, yes, let's do it. How do we need to?
It's a weaponless battle royale.
How
to make games?
How to make games? How to make games?
To attack them.
How to make games 2018. Okay.
All right.
Just do it. It's easy. It's
just
simple.
Easy games are easy. Obviously, everyone does it. Super Meat Boy Forever, which I'm under the standing is not just like a weird like remake or whatever. It is a full-on sequel to Super Meat Boy.
It's a sequel. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It doesn't have Egg McMuffin. He's not working on it anymore. So.
It's not.
That's kind of sad.
That's okay. Sure.
Egg McMuffin, Egg McMuffin, Egg McMuffin.
What's his cat game coming out this year?
I think that's actually I think they actually officially canceled that like last year.
I forget what that was called, but I remember there was some cat game that he was working on.
Homeboy's got Mewgenics,
Mewgenics,
which is a really great title for a game. But dude's got like a million games he's fucking making at any given time, so can't be bothering with no sequel.
Yeah.
Got another End is Nigh update to make.
Yeah, okay. So System Shock, a remaster of the original.
Wait, what? Oh, okay.
They're doing a full remaster of System Shock.
Yep.
By I don't know who Night Dive Studios is, but that's who's putting that on.
They've handled a lot. So they, I think, actually did the port work on System Shock 1 and 2 to like current gen consoles. They've done a lot of other stuff. They put out a demo for that alongside their Kickstarter, and it was really, really good. It seems like they actually know what they're doing. So I think like that could be really cool. They did like the Turok remaster. They've done like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and the little things that I was kind of looking at that is that remaster looks really nice. Like it looks, it's for how look, that's an old ass game. That's really cool.
And considering until like a couple of years ago, it was almost impossible to play that game on current hardware.
Right.
Like,
well, yeah. That's a. I know. It was. I guess it was these guys that did it, but that's what Good Old Games does, right? They like kind of. They open up the pathway for people to come out and put games that run on current gen software. That's why Good Old Games is so cool.
And I guess that is actually the system that is the company that made System Shock 2 as well. Like obviously, a lot of those people don't work there anymore. Like Levine doesn't work there.
Right.
But yeah, they've done like System Shock, Turok. Oh, they did the port of Titanic Adventure Out of Time. That's fucking cool. Dude, that game is so fucking good. I played that game like at least fourth. Okay, so elevator pitch of this game. You start off, it's World War II. Okay. You're going around your apartment. You're in London. It's like when the Blitzkrieg is happening. Like you find out that you were a spy on board the Titanic, and you had the job of like retrieving some artifacts that were being smuggled by spies on that ship, but you fucked up and you caused World War I and II. Okay, so you then get blown up and you get sent back in time onto the Titanic, and you have to like unfuck up what you did, but you're on a timer because the Titanic is definitely sinking at a specific point.
What?
So like they're straight up like the second half of that game has a timer mechanic where you have to do things before certain points of that game. And I eventually I had that game as a kid, and I had my optimal runs out. Like I would always so you would always leave. There's a guy by one of the lifeboats because you always have to have access to getting to a lifeboat because otherwise you're gonna fucking die.
Right.
So there was one guy who, if you kept him and you didn't talk to him and you just avoided him by going like around him completely, you would always have a way off of that boat regardless of what you did. Because he'd always be like, hey man, like this is the last one. Like if you don't come with me, you're gonna fucking die. And there was always I played that game through every ending. There's like endings where the Russians invade Britain. There's endings where you didn't do anything. You still fucked up. Or like World War I, the Germans won, or it ends with like everything's fine. There were no Nazis.
Wow, that's. I've always heard of that game, but I never knew what it actually was. All right.
It is actually fantastic. It's on Good Old Games. It's like $6. It is fucking incredible. It is also weirdly creepy ass digitized actors. So it's not a horror game, but as a kid, I was like, yeah, this is kind of a horror game because these things creep the shit out of me.
Okay. So something completely different from that would be The Crew 2. Very, very different.
The Crew 2 is March. The Crew 2, I think it is March.
Does that have
confirmed?
Does that have a confirmed date on it? Okay,
I want to say it might actually be March 20th.
That shows my indifference towards racing games. In general.
All things The Crew.
Hey, you know what? Fuck it. Like, do a good arcade racing game.
Like the simulation ones from last year were kind of underwhelming for sure. From everything I hear,
underwhelming to like outright bad.
Yeah,
like all of that stuff. So.
Yeah, and then the Need for Speed, like the arcade one, was pretty bad. And sure, yeah, I mean,
yeah, do something good with that game because like the first one was very okay. Like the humor that the thing that was good about that game was the humor from it that was inadvertent when you're like here's driving across the country, but it's a super small version of the country. So it's like, oh, you're going through the famous cornfields of Michigan. And I was really fucking confused for quite some time after that. It's a Michigan grown corn here. Hey, you're in Chicago, there's a cornfield right next to it. Doesn't quite work.
I never played The Crew.
Nah, I mean, racing games got to be real something different for me to want to check it out. I just can't get into it most of the part.
Yeah,
but hey, maybe that's this one. We have The Last Night, which is another one of those games that like looks really cool.
The Last Night.
So that's the one that is like the really interesting like pixel graphics, but they're really motion. But then the guy, I forget the guy's name, turns out is kind of a piece of shit.
Oh, okay. Yep, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
That like they showed that trailer at E3, and it's like, wow, this game looks amazing. This game looks like the art style is so cool. And then like 2 days later, people were like, yeah, so that guy's a total piece of shit. And it's like, oh no, like,
record breaking milkshake duck. Yeah. All right. Yep.
Yeah, I think I remember.
We're milkshake ducking at speeds heretofore unseen.
This was shown. This was shown at like the Microsoft.
Yeah, it was one of the Microsoft
it was like one of their big like indie showpiece things.
Yeah.
And then like I want to say it was within like maybe it wasn't even days. It might have been hours.
I think it was like hours where everyone was like, I don't care about that game anymore.
Yep.
It was like, yeah, this guy is not a good dude. Some of the things he's saying are kind of abhorrent, but
yeah.
Hey, speaking of companies that are saying abhorrent shit, The Last of Us 2.
What did Naughty Dog do? Did Naughty Dog do something I didn't hear about?
Okay, so you remember that whole rape allegation case thing?
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, like, you remember that, like, within days of that, they put out this non-contextualized trailer of this woman getting the shit beat out of her, right? Like,
was that the same time frame? I thought all the allegation stuff was after that.
I think it was like shortly before it.
Was it really before the PlayStation experience where they showed all that stuff? Well, that's unfortunate timing.
Yeah, it's really bad timing.
Framing that trailer, and that's like I think even like regardless of it, I don't think that trailer is good because I don't think that it gives enough context for what the fuck's going on here.
Yeah,
like it's
shock value for shock value.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 minutes of somebody getting the shit beat out of them. Well, I've seen that before. What's the reason? What's the context?
Yeah.
I want to know. It was not a good look for them, and it kind of soured me on like honestly like a lot of their because they can do better than this. They could have done better than that. They could have put something that contextualized. Like I get it. Your story is this brutal post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah. But we know that. We played Last of Us. We know that that's what that world is. Like, we don't need it hammered. That's a bad phrase. I was gonna say hammered into us, but that's a bad phrase because that's what happened to that poor lady's arm. But yeah, again, I think like we were saying, like it sounds like probably Last of Us Part 2 might not come out this year.
There's no way.
Like I still hold out hope that because I really like The Last of Us, like regardless of all that stuff, But yeah.
I have a poster right there.
There are two rumored Telltale things that I found that are supposed to come out this year. The final season of the Walking Dead video game and Wolf Among Us Season 2.
So I thought Season 3 was supposed to be the final season. Or was that not the case? I've not played past Season 1, so I don't know, but I always thought that Season 3 was
no, because they're on like a different storyline now of what is it called? Walking Dead Frontier something?
New Frontier.
Yeah.
The New Frontier, yeah.
Yeah, the New Frontier, yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, Season 3 introduced different characters that started like interacting with Clementine, and then they formed like a new group.
Yeah. So I think ultimately it's going to like in theory I guess they're going to wrap stuff up.
Yeah.
And then
I think Wolf Among Us 2 was confirmed. Like I'm pretty sure that was
yeah.
they got officially announced.
Yeah, I'm just that's so far away from that last one. I wonder what that will be, if it will be like a direct continuation of that story, or if they will kind of like almost like reboot it, like with probably the same character, the same characters and stuff like that. But like that was the second series that Telltale did after after the original Walking Dead got so big. Like that was a long time ago. It's like
that was another attempt for them to do that.
Like 2012, 2013, something like that. Like
yeah, it's been a while.
Telltale's made a lot of games since then.
But I mean, Fables, you don't need to necessarily concentrate on that same character. Is the thing. Like, Fables is
right.
This entirely weird thing that I think you don't need to focus on. God, what was his name? Such a dumb name.
It's
Big
B. Big B. That's right.
Yeah,
that's what his fucking
Big
name
Wolf.
was.
Yeah, it's Big Bad Wolf. It's Big B.
Big Bad Wolf. How dare you?
Yeah. Yeah. So you could totally, I think, just focus on somebody else. And I think I don't think you lose anything.
That's probably true. But I mean, I guess like I come into it is that they're still calling it The Wolf Among Us, and
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, like that seems to me like they're still gonna keep him as the main character, but I don't think you need to pull like a direct like, oh, like this is the stuff that happened in season 1 and we're gonna continue right off of that. It probably like, hey, like sure this could be set several years later and all this other crazy stuff could happen. He's dealing with totally new things that like I vaguely remember what was even going on in Wolf Among Us it is.
It's been such a long time. I wonder if like, since they started doing like the Batman stuff, that maybe Deb and DC were like, hey, what else can we do with DC or Vertigo? And they're like, hey, well, let's just do another Wolf Among Us.
Yeah.
Why not? We already did that.
I mean, Wolf Among Us is probably still my second favorite of the stuff that they've done. Maybe Tales from the Borderlands a little bit more. I'd have to think about that longer, but I really liked Wolf Among Us a lot.
I just want a fucking new Sam and Max series. Like that's the thing, man. I don't know how many of those people are still working there, but
yeah.
God damn, it's been so long since season 3.
And they downsized too, right? Like they had to like let go.
They downsized.
Yeah, they did.
And that's the other thing is that like they're still using that same hardware that they've like been using and has been this broken. So like I get it. Like I get like they're in the situation where they kind of can't stop.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I think if they took like a year off, work on their tech, get it up to snuff, I think I'd be a little bit more hopeful for it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm so at this point done with the Telltale stuff just because that stuff, it's aging really poorly on and the stuff that I'm going to play it on.
Yeah, and as a thing that hinges so much on the visuals and the characters and like the world being just so story driven, like when that stuff is not great to bad, like that kind of pulls you out of everything that's going on.
Yeah, really breaks the immersion.
Yeah, like when lip syncing is off and there's weird stuttering when it cuts to a different scene and things like that's like stuff that just pulls you right out of it. Let's see here. Last of the things that was announced in the Nintendo Direct today was the World Ends With You Final Remix.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy that's a game that still is still coming back out in this day and age. That is a really old game for the original DS that got like a pretty good re-release on iOS several years ago still. Coming to Switch. That'll be interesting to see. We were kind of talking about that prior to us recording, but it'll be interesting to see what that means as far as just controlling that, because that's very much a game that was based around touch controls. And it'll be interesting to see what that means in a, like, say, docking your Switch and playing with the controller, what that even looks like in that game. It's a cool game.
Yeah.
Does the Switch have touch controls? I'm sorry, I'm like totally...
Yes.
Yeah.
On the tablet, it does?
It does. It does, but the thing is that, like, why would you put those in if you've got to be able to dock it to the screen?
Right, that's
and
some
games have said, like, yeah, we're not going to have docking available. And, like, yeah, if that's the thing that you're going to do, like, then fine, just fucking do it. But it's so rarely used at this point. Yeah. Who knows?
Interesting.
Yeah, like even like they put out a Picross game that didn't have touch controls in it, like of all the bizarre things that like they would do. So like they're still figuring out the Switch and the hardware and what they want to do with that. Yeah. We have Adam's excited, I know. Toe Jam and Earl back in the groove.
Yeah.
Toe Jam and Earl number 4.
I've played like I think the first Toe Jam and Earl game, and that was like more than enough Toe Jam and Earl.
Yeah, this was a
like whatever.
This was a Kickstarter game too, wasn't it? I think like.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? They're giving the people what they want, which is more Toe Jam and Earl.
Apparently,
that's what they wanted. I've heard. So yeah, I played the original Toe Jam and Earl, but I don't really have any connection to that, nor do I really care about it. Game that I am excited about though would be Travis Strikes Again, a No More Heroes sequel, because I like me some Grasshopper Manufacture games, and
like me some No More Heroes.
Travis Touchdown.
Yeah, Travis Touchdown. Although we've heard so little about that game, I don't know if that is a 2018 game, but feels about right for how long it's been since the last No More Heroes.
That was Wii, right?
Yeah, I don't think they got one out on the Wii U, did they?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think both of them are on the Wii.
No. Yeah, because No More Heroes 1 and 2 were Wii, and then they re-released one for the PS3.
Right.
That also they also included some content from No More Heroes 2, but that's the last time that they've really done anything with it. So, I mean, hey, like that's smart of Nintendo. Go after these fucking niche things that like maybe they're not the hugest things in the world, but that's it packs your system full, and that was a problem that the Wii U definitely had. So
yeah, exactly. And like we said, like they did a lot of that stuff in the first year of the Switch, so they got to keep up with stuff like this in their second year or maybe third year. This one ends up being, but like to kind of fill out that catalog of like big games that are interesting that you can't play anywhere else, you know? Also on this list, we got Valkyria Chronicles 4, which they're up to 4. I don't know what happened to the other. I played 1. I remember playing 1.
2 and 3 were PSP Japan exclusive games.
Okay, well that's how they got to 4.
That's your answer.
Okay, good. So that's
PSP.
That's a cool game. I really liked the Valkyria Chronicles. Like it, like really interesting, like stuff that they're doing as far as just like story and like art and design and whatnot. And there was, you know, that kind of like tactical turn-based strategy stuff is fun. And this is I had heard that the other ones were handheld games. I didn't realize that they didn't come out in US at all.
No, because again, it's sort of that Yakuza thing of like it just didn't sell for shit.
Sure,
so.
yeah, no, for sure. I can totally believe that because that is a super niche game, for sure. We have Vampire, which is a game I feel like I keep hearing like random people talk about. Have you guys seen this one?
I've seen a trailer for it, and that's about it.
It's like a doctor who becomes infected and becomes a vampire, and then it's like I don't know if it's like a Deus Ex or whatever, but basically it's that type of thing where it's like you have to decide whether you want to kill people, whether you want to not kill people. Like supposedly it's one of those games that you can go through the entire game without killing a single person. And there's different paths and stuff based off it. It's probably going to be kind of one of those like B games, but it has enough interesting ideas behind it that it could be really cool.
Off of that, the B games thing, I don't think we have it on here, but there's also supposedly that Call of Cthulhu game in the same sort of vein of like a B game. I think it's by the Sherlock Holmes people. So like it's same sort of thing. Like there's, I think like those games like definitely fill a niche, and sometimes they're really good, sometimes they are kind of terrible. I was having a discussion with somebody today about Elix from last year, which was very much not a good game.
But had some interesting stuff in it, you know. But
it was like, you know, it was like this definite niche thing of like, okay, we're gonna combine the technology in the Old West and that sort of stuff. But yeah. Hopefully it's not as bad as that game was, but
hopefully not. But you know what? Like, hey, look, they don't do vampire games very often. Like Vampire, Bloodlines: The Masquerade, whatever that game is called, like Blood Rain. Like, there's like they don't do those very often, and not all of those have been great.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's kind of like one of those like untapped things. You know, like they didn't. It's the promise of what Lords of Shadow 2 could have been, because you were supposed to be a vampire who does all these cool things, and it just kind of ended up being the same type of God of War clone thing. God, the end of Lords of Shadow, where like it fast forwards and you're freaking vampire in like modern day. Do you have any idea what you're giving me this weird like side tilted like you have no idea what I'm talking about, Gus? Oh God, you know what I'm talking about, Adam, because you played Castlevania, the Lords of Shadow.
Oh yeah. I was thinking Lords of the Fallen for a second.
No, not Lords of the Fallen.
Play through a bad Dark Souls game before you play through that. No, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
that was,
the end of that game.
So fucking insane.
It fast forwards to like modern time, and then then it's not. Then the second one ended up being kind of just same old God of War stuff. So disappointing. Last game on this list alphabetically is Untitled Yoshi game.
Yoshi.
Like that's got to be one of their games for this year. I mean, it's not necessarily a tentpole release. Like the last Yoshi game was Woolly World, which I always heard really good things about. Did not play it, but it looked cool, and it was definitely doing kind of the same like Kirby's Epic Yarn thing. I wonder if they will not just go like full on like give Yoshi like an actual like not open world, but what am I trying to say? Like a full on like 3D Mario type game rather than restricting it to like the 2D thing. Because I think just in general, people get less excited about the 2D games than they do about the 3D games.
That could be cool.
It could be cool. Like where that sits on like the Nintendo Switch releases of 2018. Because I think if I remember right, that is supposed to be a 2018 game. Kind of depends on what that game is and how Nintendo approaches it. Like,
I mean, I think they've like shown just like the same thing, like a couple seconds of gameplay of it, and it's very much just a 2D Yoshi game.
Is it a 2D game? Okay. I feel like all I saw was a logo, but maybe there's a little bit more than that. But yeah,
maybe I'm confusing Woolly World, but I think there was maybe something. But...
You're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the end of our list. It's kind of the end of what we were going to talk about today. And then, hey, within the next couple weeks, we're going to start seeing some of that stuff come out. And then before you know it, it'll be Game of the Year 2018, and we'll be having the whole... No, it's way too early. Way too early to start talking about that stuff. We can't do that yet. Gosh. But yeah, I mean, what's the thing you guys think that like sticks out the most for you that you're excited about, like For me, it's Red Dead Redemption 2. Like, I've constantly said throughout this podcast and past podcasts on other sites and stuff that I've done, Red Dead Redemption is probably my favorite game of last generation. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is very, very much something I'm looking forward to. Like, what stands out for you guys?
I'm looking forward to that Yaki. I'm looking forward to more Yakuza. Like, I want to get my hands on that game and play the shit out of that. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm we get review codes for that stuff, but this is gonna be a case where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and I'm actually gonna buy this game, even if we do get one, because there's a nice collector's edition. It's come with like highball glasses, and it's like, that's cool. Yakuza, like, man, Yakuza last year, fuck, dude, like. That's a game that I'm like always like, just it's in the back of my mind, like, man, like, that game's so fucking good.
Yeah, it's, you know what, it's like when we were sitting down and we were making our like game of the year lists, and there was games that as I thought more about them and was writing stuff about them, they rose up my list, and then there's games that fell down my list. Yakuza went up, Destiny went down. That's all I will say. I think I had Destiny, originally at 4. And it ended up going much farther down my list than that. I don't remember. It ended 6 or 7, I think. And Yakuza leapfrogged it for sure.
Well, Kyle, let me tell you.
Uh-oh.
We're not just listening. We're doing. Breaking news. Destiny 2 update.
Okay.
It's out.
Okay.
They've said...
Yeah?
Oh, God.
Yeah?
They've said a lot of stuff.
Okay.
They've said a lot of stuff.
Eververse is gone?
We recognize that the scales are tipped too far towards tests at the moment, and Eververse was never intended to be a substitute for endgame content and rewards.
Yep, this is true.
Which is a lie. That is actually a lie. So let's see. I'm just gonna try to bullet point through this as much as we can, because we've been going for a while. We're shifting the balance of new content in favor of activity rewards over bright engrams. Includes ghosts, sparrows, ships. Today only found in bright engrams to achieve achievement reward pools.
God, that's super messed up that it is.
Gameplay path to earn bright engrams, and all contain rewards, including event engrams. We'll give players more direct purchase options and make adjustments to bright engrams.
Yes.
Aren't you excited to pay more money to Destiny? Okay, so
you say more money as if I have spent. I guess I paid for the actual game,
the expansion.
But God knows I haven't bought any silver in any of that crap.
Yeah. Okay, so the XP things, they're still investigating them. That's about it. Masterwork armor, which I have not found any Masterwork cores. I still don't quite understand how that system works.
Masterwork armor, okay. Well, so I mean, Masterwork weapons, it's just you just get it, like it's just a random drop, just like any other drop.
Right, but there's those Masterwork cores.
You get it from dismantling. You get them from dismantling Masterwork items.
Masterwork weapons, okay.
Because then if you get, I mean, it's a bad exchange rate, but it's 10 Masterwork cores can turn any other weapon you have into a Masterwork item.
Or weapon. Gotcha.
Yeah. And you get one when you. It's a bad exchange rate on that for sure.
Raid reward reworks. They're updating rewards to make them more unique and interesting. Mods with raid specific perks. New ghosts with raid specific perks.
Not more mods. Not more mods. Don't. That's.
Let's see. Strike scoring. Is going to be scoring similar to the Destiny 1 system in Nightfall, but with adjustments to emphasize competitive execution of strike objectives. Okay. Mods, more. Hey, they're doing mods 2.0. Finally.
Okay.
Work is underway to rework on a full rework of armor and weapon mods, reducing redundant mods. More unique theming, increasing their impact on your power, which is actually something.
That is the opposite of what I want. I want it to have less unless they just mean like you feel the mod more, less like I just don't want the light level attached to it. That's my problem.
Right? Yeah. Like don't attach my power level to it. Attach like something fucking meaningful
Yeah,
to
meaningful.
it, or get rid of it.
Yeah. Grenades recharge
quick play
50% faster. Yep, I'll take it. Like, let's do it.
Hey, gang, we're reducing the amount of exotic repetition you're getting. Fucking Osiris, I got the same fucking exotic 3 times, and that was the only exotic that I got in fucking...
Was it the arms? The arms of Aeon or whatever? Yeah, I've gotten those too much too.
Let's giving that to everybody.
And then they're doing some reworks of Crucible. Crucible ranks. So that's, a way to fix that, I guess. 6v6 in Crucible.
That's good.
That's people have been asking for that, so that I get.
Yeah. Mayhem will return as a limited time event.
Sure.
Okay, I like Mayhem. Mayhem's fine.
Mayhem's alright.
Weapons and ability balances, armor and exotic weapon balances, seasonal reputation, improved Iron Banner and faction rallies, playlist repetition reduction, end game player pursuits. We agree that your feedback of imbalance between achievement and Bright Engram awards, making adjustment to shift more rewards to specific end game pursuits instead of generic XP grinding for Bright Engrams. Excited to share details.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Multi-emote.
None of this sounds that interesting. Like,
not really. Vault space, they're adding 50 additional slots.
That's not enough.
To your vault. That's not enough.
It's not enough at all.
They're adding an exotic accessory tab, so you no longer need to spend vault space on exotic shipped sparrows and ghosts. Well, shit. I'm drowning in these exotic sparrows and ghosts that I need to have a specific... Okay. Heroic strike changes.
Oh god, they're already talking about fall 2018? No.
Fall 2018.
No.
Yep.
You're way ahead of yourselves, Bungie. Like, that makes me sad if you start talking about things that you're talking about for 9 months from now. Oh god, Destiny 2. Destiny 2. Way to end this on a bummer.
Man.
I know, ended on a bummer.
I know, right? We didn't get what Gus was excited for. Gus, what are you excited for?
Gus, what are you excited for?
Please say
the Destiny 2 DLC? Yeah, me too.
Well, I want to play The Last of Us 2, but that's not going to come out. So, I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to go with Darksiders. I'm replaying Darksiders 2 right now on the PS4, and man, I forgot like how much I like that game.
I really like Darksiders 2. Like, I liked it a lot. People gave it crap, and I know that it's not like the same type of thing that Darksiders was. It's less Zelda, but it's still really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
My problem with that game was it was fucking broke as fuck when I played it. Like I had a lot of sequence break shit that was going on when I was playing it for no apparent reason. So
okay.
I've wanted to go back to 2 and like revisit that and see like, okay, if they've fixed this stuff, would my opinion of it, which was pretty low at the time, like would that have changed it? Because I remember like the idea of it being like this loot-based thing was cool. Like that's a cool idea. Like make that into a decent loot game. Around right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's cool. That's loot based, and they have the possessed weapons that you can like feed them.
Yeah, that was that.
It's just a variation
cool stuff
in
in there.
And stuff. I was like, oh, this is really good. I forgot.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't mind going back and playing both the Darksiders 1 and Darksiders 2, checking out those remasters that they did.
Yeah, they're good. They are good.
Because I mean, one of the cool things was that if you owned those games on Steam, at least they just gave you the remastered versions for free, which was pretty cool. So I have both of those.
I think we might have talked about this on the show, but how wild it is that if you had the PS4 Darksider 1 and 2 remastered, like all of a sudden it was just branded the Darksiders 3 Chronicles.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, they changed like the logo to the Darksiders 3 logo or something crazy like that.
Yeah. It's like when a movie comes out for like for a solid while. I had this fucking version of the Dark Tower that was just sitting in my library that had the fucking movie art attached to it. It's like, please don't switch that art. I like that art. That art is a part of why I like the book.
Yeah.
You can like the cover of a book. That can be a valid judgment of how you like a book. If you like the cover.
So I read like the original Lord of the Rings books when I was a kid, like rented from the library or whatever, and then I actually bought a box set of them, but it was each of the covers was a movie image. And then The Hobbit, obviously there wasn't a Hobbit movie at that point, so The Hobbit was like the original, and I was like, man, like I really wish these weren't that. Like, I love those movies. Those movies are great, but that's not what I wanted from my box set of those books.
Yeah.
All right, we need to get out of here. This has been going on too long. It's not Game of the Year stuff. We don't have to be on here this call for this long, this podcast for this long. Thank you so much for listening. We got January to come to. We're gonna start getting reviews and stuff like that. Start rolling up as games actually start coming out. We kind of get this weird
Nothing
thing
for this past 2 months. Like it's been rough because I've been like, man, I want to write something, but there's nothing coming out, and I'm just kind of revisiting old stuff. Which maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll write something about
I have definitely like it got me time to catch up on 2017 stuff I didn't get around to. I played Nier, I played Wolfenstein, I played Night in the Woods, played Edith Finch. Like I was gonna go start playing Tacoma, but now I actually do have my first review of 2018 to start working on. That I will start working on tonight because I haven't even touched that game yet. But we got stuff. We got stuff coming out. Check on the website. Check us on Twitter, on Twitch, YouTube, all of that fun stuff. It's down there in the corner. You guys see it if you're watching the video. It's Twitter's pixel_related, YouTube's pixel_related, and the website's pixel_related.net. I'm Kyle. That's Adam. That's Gus. And we will see you next time.